This is WWE superstar Drew McIntyre, and you're listening to the WWE Podcast.
The champ is
the one that everybody wants, me.
It's going to WrestleMania. Claymore!
Austin 316 says I just whipped your ass. This is my iron. You're going to acknowledge me.
Hey guys, welcome to the Monday Night Raw review. A lot to talk about tonight with a very surprising ending here on this September 24th, 2024. We've got a lot to talk about with the main event, Mr. Main Event, Jey Uso winning the Intercontinental Championship from Bron Breakker. A shocker, I think, because most, like myself, figured, hey, Braun is just getting going. They're trying to build a star here. Jey Uso's about to be reclaimed into the Bloodline story to help Roman fight off Solo's version of the Bloodline. Or so we assume. So they're never going to do anything long-term with him. And maybe at some point in 2025, we can talk about a singles run after this, the fourth round of the Bloodline story is complete. But no, here we are. We are standing here, sitting here, laying there, depending on what position you're in physically, with Jey Uso beating Bron Breakker clean for the Intercontinental Championship. And I am very surprised. I have reservations about it, but I'm also excited for Jey. I mean, the crowd obviously was very excited to be in person for that exchange, for an exchange that, again, I don't think a lot of us expected. And let me start with the positives on this. Number one, Jey Uso, above all else, deserves it. He has more than earned the respect of fans, earned the respect of the boys in the locker room. I think I'm not speaking out of turn when I say that. I don't think many in the locker room, I would hope or assume, would not respect Jey, right? That most of them do. The fans do. Jey Uso, for the majority of his career, was part of a tag team that evolved into one of the greatest, if not the greatest, arguably, tag team of all time. And he has been with WWE for 10 plus years. And so, yes, he deserves it. The fans are ready for Jey Uso to become a single star and have been ready for some time. Jey Uso has sniffed singles gold, but never quite got there. And fans, I think, are excited for Jey, and it's a good moment. And you can make Jey truly what he says he is, the main event. He's always good for a very good match. I could do without the super kicks, of course, but you know what he's going to put in effort-wise in the ring. You know what character-wise, who and what he is. He's a good promo to occasionally very good, but mostly just good, and relies on a lot of just banter and yeets and personality, which is totally fine. Not everybody needs to be an eloquently spoken promo in pro wrestling. I get that. But he has a connection with the fans that's very strong. And he is, yes, presumably still about to reunite with his brother and Roman and Paul Heyman when they take on the evil bloodline. That's happening. Make no mistake about it. It's happening. So we have that piece of it, the good. The questionable side, I don't know if it's bad, but questionable. Time will tell if this was the right call. Bron Breakker is a guy that WWE was building up, I think, very well. Yes, his music still sucks. Yes, people still look at him as a Goldberg light or the second coming of Goldberg, which I think that has been shaken off of him and has been shaken off of him for many, many months now. But he was being built with, in part, that Intercontinental Championship. And you strip that off of him in a way that does define him down a bit because he lost clean. There was no ambiguity about the way that Bron Breakker lost. And he had some momentum. And this business is, by definition, surviving because of new stars. That's how the system works. You build new stars, you help other stars build new stars, and so on. This is a questionable decision because is it going to hurt Bron Breakker's career? Again, time will tell. We also don't know if this is a promotion for Bron Breakker, who may be moving into the World Heavyweight Championship picture. I mean, we don't know. He could also reclaim it from Jey. I doubt it, but he could. But Bron Breakker, again, you look at this, and it's a position that Bron Breakker was a good one. It was a healthy one from a character development standpoint. We got promos from him. He was spearing everybody left and right, having very good matches. And the announcers just continue to tell us the one stat about his in-ring work, which is how fast can he run the ropes? 23 miles an hour. That all-important stat, which isn't insane, but it's getting comical at this point. It's a diminishing returns type of effect, because the first time he tells us that and you watch it, you're like, wow, that's insane. Then you're like, yeah, wow, that's crazy. And then you hear it the third and fourth time, you're like, yeah, wow, yep. And then you're like, yeah, dude, I've heard that before. And then it's okay, we get it. You know, it devolves into, we've heard this. Is there anything else you can tell us about him? So that would help if they could find another stat to attach to him besides how fast he can run the ropes, which again is insanely impressive. That would help. So this hopefully isn't a derailment of Bron Breakker or a demotion. I hope this is not. I hope this in a way is a promotion. In pro wrestling, a lot of times dropping a belt, as we see over and over, is not oftentimes a demotion, but a promotion to get them to the next level. Hell, look at Gunther. After a 666-day run, loses at WrestleMania, and yet he's the one standing here world champion, and Sami Zayn is not. So we'll see what's next for Bron Breakker. He probably will get a rematch against Jey and likely be unsuccessful. And you do wonder what the thinking is, especially if Jey is about to, in the coming months, rejoin the bloodline and then do what with the IC belt? Is the IC belt going to be forgotten? Is he going to be joining the bloodline and then, you know, he's buried over there on SmackDown, and everything is about the bloodline, and we look up a few months later, we're like, oh yeah, that's right, he's Intercontinental Champion. Yeah, we should probably we have him defend that every once in a while. You know, let's hope that's not the case. Let's hope. We also could have a scenario where maybe the reuniting of the bloodline doesn't take place until WrestleMania. I think a lot of us, including myself, have been duped into this War Games match as the end-all be-all for this story, and maybe it's not. So we'll see. War Games is going to be a hell of a pay-per-view. I still say pay-per-view. PLE. That's going to tell us a lot about the Bloodline story. I mean, the storyline's right there for the taking when it comes to Bloodline versus Bloodline, and you and I and everyone else listening have been talking about this for months and months and months, that this is the scenario, this is the place that it should happen, and yes, The Rock's coming back and all that. So we'll see how it all plays out. There's a lot of story left to tell there. But one other positive, as I'm thinking about it, company-wide, booking-wide, unpredictability-wide, is this throws a wrench in a lot of our assumptions about Triple H. That he is primarily a long-term title run guy. And it throws that seed of doubt now into our minds, which is a good thing. While I generally agree with the principle of long title reigns, you need to have these kinds of runs every now and then sprinkled in to give that unpredictability, to get fans off your scent, off the trail, to get them off your scent, I guess, whatever, you know what I mean? To get them off their game. And that's what this has done as well. I didn't see it coming. Although when they made it the main event of Raw, it elevated the possibility, right? Positioning on a show is extremely important and often does tell the tale of who may drop what or regain what. when Cody Rhodes opened the last PLE defending his Undisputed Championship, you knew there was now a absolute zero chance he was dropping it. You're not going to have a title change typically with a major title on the line if it's not at the end of a show. That's of course not a absolute rule, but it's one that I think is pretty well followed, and this followed that rule on Raw when it was in the main event. Now, they didn't get a ton of time here. They got 9 minutes for this match. They could have done a lot more. Maybe they ran out of time, and they did the best they could, but more time certainly would have been better. Not that the match was bad, but they maximized their minutes. Let's put it that way. But like I said, it does, from a strategic standpoint, make fans think twice when they think they know what Triple H is going to do with titles. And that's a good thing, like I said. We love unpredictability as fans. We love being twisted and turned and swerved. We do. We love it. And this is one. And it's a good one. So that's really all I got to say about it. Just want to open the show with Jey Uso's win. That was a shocker. Was it earth-shattering? No, I don't want to go overboard, but I think it was a shocker for most, given what we think we know about what's coming up with Jey Uso and his bloodline story. And obviously there's a lot more to get to with Monday Night Raw. We're going to get to all of it in just a few minutes, but want to welcome you to the WWE podcast. We are here almost every single day with the NXT show, review show that'll be dropping tomorrow. We've got the nostalgia show that I drop usually once a week. I'll bring one out from the vault. We've got the, of course, Raw review you're listening to right now, the weekend review that drops on Sundays, mailbag that drops on Friday, and you can get all this ad-free at patreon.com/WWE podcast, and even go 1 week for free with a 1 week free trial, and on Apple. There's a 1 week free trial on Apple and on Spotify. So what else happened on Monday Night Raw? Well, the continuation of the the New Day split. And I'm all in on this one. This may be the first time in 10 years I have an emotional investment in a New Day story, and it is to see them break up and to see the evolution of this. You guys been listening to me. I've been podcasting for 10 years now. And during those 10 years, I have despised nearly everything the New Day has done. I know I didn't even like Kofi Mania. I did not like Kofi Kingston as WWE champion. Not because he's not talented, but to summarize, he made the championship a joke. He devalued it. He was still Mr. Pancake, doing his sophomore jokes and all. It was horrific. Really nothing about the New Day story was ever entertaining to me. And the crowd seemed to eat it up, though, and obviously I'm the one that is the voice of the minority because they made a bunch of money off the New Day, and good for them. But I'm finally invested in a story after 10 years because I'm finally going to get to see them split. And it's coming because they continue to pound in our brains the fact that in November they have a 10-year anniversary. And that is going to be a night that the New Day split. It looks like Xavier Woods is going to be the one to turn on Kofi. He's the one who's getting frustrated with Kofi as Kofi continues to live as if he's 16 years old in high school with pancakes and bootios, and this 45-year-old man is still stuck at 16, character-wise, of course. You have Xavier who wants to just win and wants to get back to their winning ways so they can just kind of let loose. But Xavier is focused on something he probably should have been focused on to begin with, and that's winning. It's really what a lot of stars should be focused on, is winning, not having fun or making history. Win. Because winning is what you should do in a sport. That's what you're there to do. At least if you're trying to tell me it's a simulated sport. So You have Xavier, who's playing the aggressor here, and you have the New Day on a slump. And last night they took on American Made, and they lost. They lost, and this is going to continue to fracture the bond between Xavier and Kofi. And sure, Big E could come back and likely will come back, even in a cameo appearance for the New Day celebration in November. But the split's not happening until November. They're not going to do it. It'll appear as if all is well. Oh, sorry about last week. Just like we saw this week. Water under the bridge, blah, blah, blah. Things are fine. Let's make it up. Let's get going. And it's going to continue to descend and descend and descend. So really, for me, I'm excited what this eventually will lead to. Ultimately, yes, the split, which is going to be, thank God, a thank God moment, but also for Xavier to see what he can do outside of trombones and pancakes and bootios and the nonsensical garbage. What can he do? What can he make of himself in the second half of his career? Who is he going to be? Sure, he'll be a heel, likely. But what is his character about? What does he transform into? I mean, that's what I'm really looking forward to. So we shall see. We shall see. And again, like I said, for the first time in 10 years, I care about what the New Day are doing because it's going to lead to their ultimate demise. So the angels above are singing down and shining their light. All right. Bronson Reed and Braun Stroman. This has become, and I think to WWE surprise, a delight of Monday Night Raw. Now, they know, we know, this kind of story can't last forever. It's not sustainable long term because it's just pure destruction, very little character depth, but just a hell of a time, pure violence. And that's okay. I'm not complaining. That's okay. The violence here is the story. But since the violence is the only element of this story, it won't last long because it doesn't have the depth to survive. And that's okay too. It sounds like I'm complaining. I'm not. Not every story needs to be deep and character driven. And this is one of those exceptions that it's just about violence and two big men kicking each other's asses. And that's what we're getting here with Braun Strowman and Bronson Reed. And the fans are loving it. The destruction is hilarious. They opened up Raw doing this, even in the introductory people arriving at the arena moments with Liv and Dom. And them just destroying each other there. Destroying each other, in the ring and backstage. And it just continues. And them destroying the security guards over and over, which is always a fun thing. Yeah, that is one of my guilty pleasures as a wrestling fan. Is watching, I don't care if it's heel or babyface, doesn't matter, seeing security guards who are just the most hapless, helpless, just jobbers in the world get their ass kicked. There's something dark and funny about it. Because we all know they're local wrestling talent who are cosplaying as security. We know that. But it still makes it fun to watch them just be completely inept at their job and get destroyed by the talent. And it's, again, I don't care if it's a heel or babyface doing it. It just is plain funny. And that happened this week. The fans loved it. Tsunami on a couple of them. Braun Strowman chokeslam, double chokeslam on a couple of them. Eventually, and finally, we get Adam Pearce figure a way to end this. And it's not going to be at Bad Blood, which is surprising, but once again, the one thing Triple H has been steadfast about in his reign has been fewer matches, longer matches on PLEs. And he's continuing that with the Intercontinental Championship being done on Raw. And next week, with Braun Strowman versus Bronson Reed in a last man standing match. And I love it. I think it's the perfect way to end it. I was kind of curious as to what stipulation they would impose on this program, given the violence They can't do a lumberjack match, can't do a steel cage match, given it's so close to Hell in a Cell. There's very few things that you could do, and last man standing makes sense. No rules, destroy any and everything. A winner will emerge while the loser stays down for a 10 count, and we'll move on. I would think that the winner of this is Bronson Reed. As I said earlier, with a business about building new stars, this one should be about Bronson Reed winning, but in a war, in an absolute war, and it's just fun. I mean, they're going to end up all over the damn arena. They'll probably end up backstage again. They'll probably go through a couple cars again. I mean, they are going to go through the ring. I wouldn't be surprised, honestly, if this match closes the show next week. I doubt it, but it could, where they end up having a Big Show or Mark Henry moment when it originally happened, Brock Lesnar superplexing Big Show that collapsed the ring. Kind of one of those moments where it's an epic conclusion that not just symbolically, but physically, literally destroys the ring. That kind of moment, which will be fun. They don't have to close the show with it, but it'd be fun. I don't think they'll close the show with it as I'm thinking about it, because next week is the final show before Bad Blood, so that doesn't make sense. But they might do it as a mid-show semi-main event and having these two absolutely kill each other, or even open the show with it. Fans are ready for it. I'm ready for it. Just pure, thoughtless, fun, just kick-ass violence. That's what this is about. There's nothing more, nothing less to this. But it's also about Bronson Reed getting a big-time push. Or at least getting him in the front of the fans' eyeballs so that fans recognize who the hell you are. And I think this will put Bronson Reed on the map further. Braun Stroman doesn't need the matchup here. He doesn't need to win. It makes no sense if he wins. So, nothing but really just simple praise for this program. All right. Next, guess what's back? The Shark Cage. We haven't seen that in a while. The last time I think we had a Shark Cage was with Chris Jericho. And I don't remember who was in the match. Maybe it was Kevin Owens when they were in their Festival of Friendship. I'm not sure. But I remember Chris Jericho being the last one to be suspended above the ring in a shark cage. So that is, again, that's the last time I remember. It's very rarely done. I've only seen a couple of them in my lifetime in WWE, with the shark cage hanging above the ring with somebody that's just such a menace they have to be jailed. But Dom is going to be in there. I'm sure there'll be references that Dom makes to, the good old days of him in the Slammer and all the brilliance that really helped establish his career, about spending like an hour in county jail a few years ago. And he was running the cell blocks. And I mean, remember all that stuff? And in one of his intros, he was even in his entrances being shown being let out of the cell. It was just all brilliant. Brilliant. So maybe there'll be some references to that Dom feels right at home there, and, that kind of thing. But Dom is going to be suspended above the ring, and he won't be able to interfere in the match between Rhea Ripley and Liv Morgan for the women's world title. And that's, he'll find a way, though. Here's the thing. Just because he's suspended doesn't mean he can't still interfere. He can pocket something and drop it down. Brass knucks or a foreign object of some sort that he can help Liv win. And that's exactly what I think is going to happen here. I know that predictions come next week for Bad Blood, but an early one here, I think, is that Liv retains because Dom still finds a way, even suspended 20 feet above the ring in a shark cage, to interfere in the match. And I think it'll be fun to watch, and the fans will be like, "Are you kidding me? How the hell?" It'll be good. So that's going to be fun. And Liv Morgan continues her revenge tour, and it's been wonderfully planned and wonderfully executed. A story that, if you go back and listen to me several months ago, I'd made fun of. I made fun of Liv Morgan in this revenge tour that sounded hollow and like a slogan. And, you came back for revenge, yet she wasn't targeting Rhea at the time. And it was embarrassing. And that so quickly turned. And I was wrong. Her revenge tour turned out to be exactly what she said. She took everything from Rhea. And Rhea Ripley has been very good with her arguments as well, and her promos against Liv. And the one thing I wish she'd say, though, is, and maybe she has to some degree, that, you're right. You have taken my title. You've taken my family. You've taken my former lover, Dom. But you know what you've done? You've left me with something that I've got nothing left to lose. You've left somebody in a desperate state. How are you going to handle someone that has nothing left to lose? You're the one now that has a mountain to lose. Flip it on her and make it that sure, you took everything from me. I'm still here, and now I've got nothing left to lose. You, on the other hand, have a lot to lose. So, just something I thought of while I'm sitting there. Of course, armchair quarterbacking, but not that my suggestion implemented would have helped or hurt, but something I was thinking of. However, this should be the conclusion, at least for the time being, of the Rhea, Dom, Liv stuff. It might go one more time, given that we have Survivor Series with the War Games match. It might. But we'll see. We'll see. But, all right, what else happened on Monday Night Raw? We got the Unholy Union versus Damage Control. And before this, though, we had, of course, the obnoxious, and I'm just going to call them what it is now, obnoxious Bianca and Jade team with their handshakes and their pompous stances and their just, I don't know, obnoxious personalities that when they get together, I mean, I'm kind of over it. They're not a babyface team. They're not. I know that Jade is very impressed with herself, and she puts on social media all the time of, look at my new outfit. Oh, I smell good. All these things that have absolutely nothing to do with your success as a wrestler, and we're all supposed to be impressed with them. And we can only say nice things if she puts these out and we say anything negative, well, here come the mob, That's another topic for another day. But my point is that these two have become just, I don't know, you put them together and they're intolerable, insufferable. They have a temperament about them that is very off-putting, very mean girlish, very superficial. Jade's got nothing of substance to say. It's almost not, I'm not saying it's conclusive, but it's not always, or not almost if she's declining, but rather just plateauing. Jade Cargill is just, they've kind of, she has been stuck where she's been for a while, which is kind of a decline in a way, because you're supposed to at least be improving month to month. And we're not seeing anything from Jade other than what outfit is she wearing this week that the fans can gawk at, or that she wants us to gawk at, or be so impressed with her muscles. Or imagine how good she smells through the screen. All these just superficial things that she relies on the one card she's got to play right now, which is simply her look, which is, I can't say enough about it, is outstanding if you're trying to be a successful pro wrestler. She's got the look patented, but it can't last forever, and she continues to go to the well on that because it's the one card she's got to play. If she has a good promo, then show us. If she can have a really good match in ring, show us. It's time. And I'm not talking about the whole tag team dynamic with Bianca, where she gets the hot tag, does 6 moves, and then bing, bang, boom, finish in 7 minutes, which we've seen over and over and over. I'm talking about on her own. Just because she's in a tag team doesn't mean she can't have a singles match. But clearly, they don't believe in her enough yet to put her out there for any more than her, 3-minute flurry as the hot tag in the in that tag team. And again, not every woman or man for that reason, for that matter, rather, need to be a 45-minute classic type of wrestler. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying, can you have a fundamentally sound pro wrestling match in front of a live crowd? Pretty standard bar here to clear. And my answer so far is no, she can't. Or at least the WWE doesn't think she can. Maybe she's capable. We've seen glimpses, as I've said. We've seen glimpses. Rumble debut was great. We've seen hot tags that have been a lot of fun and impactful, and the crowd gets into it. But it's now the same thing over and over and over and over, and then over and over. And now they've, to boot, added this obnoxious obnoxious personality to their team that I don't think they've done intentionally, or maybe they're not even aware of how obnoxious it is to listen and watch them. They're not endearing. They're not relatable. Individually, they, especially for Bianca, get the hell out of that team. I know it's keeping Jade nice and safe and cozy and protected and hiding her weaknesses. I understand the purpose. But how much longer are we supposed to sacrifice Bianca's greatness for Jade's potential? How much longer are we supposed to do that? I'm not even asking for Jade versus Bianca. That'll eventually come. I'm not asking for that right now. They can split and go their separate ways without a feud right now. That can happen. That's fine. But Jade needs to stand on her own 2 feet. And I know I'm not aware of her progress behind the scenes. I don't know what's going on in the training center. I don't know what I don't know. But how am I supposed to know what I don't know? I only know as a fan on the outside what I see. So that's all I can judge on. But I'm going to judge it because that's what I see, and that's what WWE is allowing me to see. And I'm seeing an A+++ visual star with a C- to D+ in-ring and personality and promo ability. And that's just what it is. With an A+ all-around performer that Bianca Belair is, from promo to in-ring, especially in-ring, to music, to entrance, even though I'm not a fan of the twirling of the hair, as you guys know, but she's got it down. She knows who she is. She can be obnoxious too, but she backs it up in the ring, and even if she is obnoxious, she makes you still love her because of how good she is in the ring. And with Jade, I think it's time. Sink or swim. Push her out of the nest. Does she fly? Or does she come crashing down to earth? Eventually, you have to implement that experiment. And you can't have mommy Bianca there every step of the way, all the time. Now, with all that said, with my rant complete, I think this will fall on deaf ears to WWE because they feel that they have a potential Hall of Famer in Jade. And they very well may be right. And you know what? I hope they're right. I want Jade to succeed. I'm giving you what I see, though. Currently, I'm not looking into this imaginary crystal ball. But I think they'll just keep Bianca with Jade until the time that they feel Jade can go off on her own. Or if they want to go the Jade versus Bianca road, they could do that. And they will absolutely do that at some point. But I just, there's something that needs to shift here. Something needs to shift. Either, here's even what I would accept. Here's the middle ground. Fine, you keep Jade and Bianca together. But have her do what Bianca's doing every now and then. Have a singles match every now and then. With somebody from Damage Control. Somebody that can really help protect her in-ring weaknesses. Like a Io Sky, who has been utterly brilliant over the last several weeks and continues to show how good she is and remind you how good she is, and has essentially turned babyface in that group. But put her in there with somebody that can do most of the work to help protect her, if you're that worried. But the key is, you can only do so much stuff behind the scenes. Sure, she can be busting her ass at the Performance Center, and she very well may be. Maybe she takes some time here between photo shoots to put on Instagram. Maybe she does take 30 seconds here, 45 seconds there, between putting on her perfume and then telling us how good she smells, to work on her hip tosses. Or maybe working on some promo stuff. Maybe she's looking at tape from the previous generation, or the current generation to get some psychology down and see how people work in ring that are better than her. I mean, I'm being half serious, but we don't see all that. We don't see that. We only see what's put in front of us. And what's put in front of us has essentially been the same woman that was put in front of us a year and a half ago when she was introduced and picked up from AEW. So, I really hope she does succeed. I do. But if you're not going to turn her heel intentionally, WWE has to do something quickly. And even more importantly, if you don't want to damage Bianca, you need to do something very quickly too for her and her career. And you have somebody in an absolute megastar of Bianca, who is a proven commodity, rotting away in a tag team that has gone on too long for Bianca. And I hope I hope I'm wrong, and I hope WWE's right, that all of this investment in putting Bianca with Jade, even though it had Bianca essentially a non-factor in the women's division for 18 months, be worth the ultimate goal of having Jade come out a star. Because that's what they're doing here. It's not about the women's tag team championships. No one gives a damn about the women's tag team championships. If they do, if they tell you that, they're lying. So, all right. I didn't expect to want to rant like that tonight. I'm in a weird mood. All right. So, what else happened on Monday Night Raw? Sami Zayn takes on Ludwig Kaiser. This was fun. I mean, Sami Zayn, it's funny. I was thinking about this because I've said it several times over the last several weeks that Sami Zayn is forever now an underdog. Forever an underdog, because most of the guys he faces are bigger than him. I mean, he wears plaid. He just looks like he came off of, off his couch watching Sunday Night Football, and he's, just stretching to get in the ring, and he's like, okay, guys, time to go to work, and, it doesn't change. It's fine. It creates a very endearing character of Sami Zayn. That's all fine and well. But you'd think that given that Ludwig Kaiser is about his size, that he wouldn't work the same way that he works with somebody that is much bigger than him, like a Gunther. But essentially, even when he's working with Ludwig Kaiser, he's working as if he's the underdog. He just can't help himself. So I found that funny. Not a complaint, just an observation, and kind of comical that that's just how Sami Zayn wrestles. He can't help himself but wrestle as the underdog. It's in his DNA. I mean, he could be wrestling Rey Mysterio, he could be wrestling Hornswoggle, and he would still wrestle as an underdog. And I just find that funny. I was like, well, okay, Ludwig Kaiser, maybe we'll get a more dominant Sami Zayn, as you would imagine, given the size comparison with those two. Nope. Sami Zayn's still the underdog. Oh, boy. All right. So this match was a lot of fun. And Kaiser doesn't get enough credit. Sami Zayn beat Kaiser in 12 minutes, but he should, because he's still on a path to convince Gunther to put the world title on the line at Bad Blood. But the finish was Kaiser set up Sami Zayn for, I forget what kind of move, but Zayn countered into a suplex and hit the haluva kick, got the 3 count. And again, very sound, fun match. The crowd was into it. Both men are very talented, and I love that. I mean, even the drop kick of Sami Zayn's head into the steps sounded and looked great. the Blue Thunder Bomb. That's always a fun move to watch, and just one of his signatures. The more important piece here, of course, came after the match. That Gunther comes out, no suit, in his ring gear with his belt around his waist, and he comes out and says that he's had enough, he's seen enough, and he wants to come out here in front of everybody here. He gets on the ring apron and says that, you've been coming out challenging me for weeks, but I've seen enough, and I want to come out here right now in front of everybody and tell you no. This is the fourth time in as many weeks that he rejects Sami Zayn's proposal to challenge him for the world title. I love this. I mean, boy, they are actually waiting until the very last Raw before Bad Blood to make this match official, because it's going to happen. I mean, it'd be insane if they didn't. So I would imagine that we have Adam Pearce get involved to be the one to force Gunther into this match. There's no other way. I don't think there's anything that Sami can say that would change Gunther's mind. If Gunther suddenly turned on a dime and was like, you know what? Fine. That'd be lame. Gunther here has to be forced and should be forced into this after 4 weeks of denying Sami Zayn. So Adam Pearce will likely be the reason. Or we have Sami Zayn convince Adam Pearce to put him in a number one contenders match against, whoever, and have Sami Zayn win. Therefore, Gunther is forced to face him, which is fine with me too. We have a number one contenders match next week, impromptu. So that's likely the scenario, but Gunther is just, even Wade Barrett was pointing this out, that he's funny. Gunther has a dry sense of humor, but when he told Bret Hart that his favorite wrestler was Bill Goldberg, I mean, how can you hate that? How can you boo that? That was just an absolute classic. That belongs in the vault, along with all of Gunther's matches. So this will be a fun match. Yes. Do we know the outcome? Yes. I don't need another swerve from Trips with, oh my God, wow, Gunther lost. No. That's no. You don't fool around like that with Gunther. Keep him world champion. But you have Sami Zayn putting up a hell of a fight, no pun intended, or hell of a fight, if you want to pronounce it like that, but ultimately coming up short. So it'll be a fun story going into next week, but Gunther, who is just everything about this guy is, there's not one part of his character that you're looking at going, man, that needs a lot of work. Not one part of his game, I should say, meaning in its totality, his in-ring, his promos, his character, his entrance, his presence. It's all not perfect, of course, but there's not one glaring area that you're like, ugh, man, his entrance needs work, or yeah, if he could just find his promo voice, or if he could, his in-ring's a little sloppy. There's nothing at least significant. You could nitpick, just like with anybody. You could nitpick The Rock. You could nitpick Stone Cold. You could literally anybody. I'm talking big, obvious gaps in his game. Gunther's a complete package. He is a mold of what a professional wrestler, like a top guy, looks like and feels like. So, all right. We also had Sheamus and being interviewed by Kathy Kelly. He got the crowd to chant, call him Butch, saying that he heard people chanting that. I don't think he did. WWE's trying to create this out of whole cloth, but fine. So they're bringing back the Butch thing regarding Pete Dunne, and Sheamus says he has a score to settle with him. And then later in the night, I think we saw Butch attack Sheamus with that cricket paddle. Obviously here in the U.S., cricket paddle means nothing. If you're from overseas, you obviously know what that is. But it's a fun little side program. I got no complaints about it. The Butch versus Pete Dunne deal is fine. All right. We also had The Miz, who came out. Forgot about that. The Miz did come out. He made an appearance. He did make an appearance, but it didn't last long, because that's when the Braun Stroman and Reed just destruction began. All right. Let's see. I feel like I'm missing something. Oh, Dragon Lee beats Carlito in 2.5 minutes. Not much to say there. We had McIntyre come out, and he recalled Punk making a vow to make him bleed. And that McIntyre would have to kill him. And that he said that Punk meant every word. And that Punk is ready to sacrifice everything, and so is he. We still had the what stuff. Can we implement a new policy? And WWE, I'm sure, would actually love to do this in real life. Unless Stone Cold is out there trying to elicit the what chance and resurrect them. Well, I shouldn't say resurrect. It's been alive and well since 2002. 22 years this damn thing's been going on. But from here on out, can we implement a policy around the globe to have people who chant what be escorted from the building immediately and tased upon their exit? I'm done with it. I don't understand the need to do it anymore. Who are these people doing this? And are the people doing it even understand why it's being done or where it came from? No, probably not. It's just a cool thing to do. Someone pauses. Oh, a period at the end of the sentence, guys. That's our cue. What? There's nothing WWE can do, but it has ruined so many promos, and it's been distracting for no reason, and it's nothing but a self-fulfilling need for fans to be a part of the what stuff. I mean, my God. It wasn't destructive here for Drew, but you heard people. So, little side note. All right. McIntyre said that recalled that Punk talked about his wife and sister who begged him not to do the match. And McIntyre said his own family said the same thing because they knew it had gone too far. McIntyre said his wife begged him for months to get away from Punk because she can see what it's done to him. And McIntyre said it doesn't matter what the fans, the families, or even he and Punk think because the match will happen at Bad Blood, and he has some promises of his own. McIntyre promised that he will make Punk bleed a lot. He said it will make him suffer and feel more pain than he's ever felt, and said it's appropriate that Punk compare himself to the devil because it's always been good versus evil, and that Punk compares himself to a godlike figure, but he's just a man, that he will break permanently inside Hell in a Cell. So Punk gives his kind of funeral-like promo last week. We get Drew doing the same this week. I would think next week is the final confrontation between these two. I don't want any physicality between these two. Maybe we can have Adam Pearce implement a one night only, ban of any kind of physical contact. If they do, the match is off or something like that, or one of them suspended. Because I don't need any more. I just need maybe one final confrontation. You know what I need? I would do a sit-down interview one last time with both of them sitting, in an interview style with Jackie Redmond or whoever they want to do, and just frankly talking with each other about what they're about to go through, what they're going to do to each other in a very serious, dark tone. No physicality. Because you're going to get more than your share and fill at Bad Blood. That's what I would do to kind of cap off the build to this. We'll see what they do next week. All right. What else? We got, as I said, Io Sky and Kairi Sane, which is Alba Fire, Isla Dawn, Unholy Union. The finish of that was Damage Control getting the victory in just under 10 minutes. And again, Io Sky getting more screen time, little bit of promo stuff backstage, but they seem to be next in line for the women's tag team championships to face Bianca and Jade, which there's a solid chance they could win. And to be honest, the way Io Sky is going, I could see the fans being in support of Io more than WWE thinks. I think they could gravitate towards Io Sky here. And even in a losing effort, if they're there to just lose to Jake, Jade and Bianca. All right. We got the replay. Joe Tessitore replayed the Roman Reigns Cody Rhodes video that people have been talking about all over the place, which was very well done. And that would be that would be something they replayed here. And honestly, Joe Tessitore continues to do a nice job. I know he's not Pat McAfee. I don't want him to be Pat McAfee. You know why? Because we already have Pat McAfee. All right, he'll come back after the Rumble like he did last year. Okay, when college football is concluded, he'll come back. So I'm not worried about it. If you want Pat McAfee back, he'll be back. But Joe has done a really nice job. He has done a very nice job. He's upped the excitement level in his voice the last few weeks. He has come in feeling like an expert of the product off the bat. He's not a Mike Adamle or, my God, who's been the rotating cast of characters in that seat? Somebody from MLB was there. I forget his name. He was not very good. They've had some pretty crappy announcers there. And even, I hate to say it, as much as I love her, Renee Young, remember that experiment? I have nothing against, and some people say, oh, it's just because she's a woman, you didn't like her. No, I'm all for it. She just didn't fit. She was excellent as an announcer. I think she had a hell of a personality and could have actually, if she ever wanted to, get into the physical part of it, been a women's champion. Obviously, she never went that road, but she didn't fit into the commentary booth at all. And they tried. It's difficult. But Joe and Wade, I think, are a nice team. I really enjoy them. I do. Are they perfect? No. Are they JR and the King? The King? No. Are they Taz and Michael Cole? No. But they are very good. And I think that people are unfairly comparing Joe to Pat McAfee. All right. Did I cover everything? I don't think I did. Damian Priest's video aired. He recalled using the saying, "Am I my brother's keeper?" when he was younger. He spoke about how life brought him to the Judgment Day, and it was a crew that became a family. And he said that family gave a brother in Finn Balor. He recalled how they spoke about running WWE. Priest said no one acted happier on camera when he won the World Championship, but he was the first person out the door with a face of envy when the cameras were off. And that was Priest asked if he is his brother's keeper. Priest said he is and always will be, but Balor is not his brother. All right. Fine little final promo here between Balor and Priest, or at least for the time being this week. It was fine. I think it was fine. And we still have to get back to that. We still have to get back to Priest versus Balor, because Balor cost Priest the world title. How are we forgetting this? That needs to be front and center here. Priest has lost a little momentum in the last few weeks, and I think Balor and Priest is a program we still have to revisit, as well as, side note, Otis and Gable. How has that not been paid off? We eventually could get there, but the whole payoff after months of maltreatment and humiliation on national television, you give him a shove, and that's supposed to be enough? Come on. I love Chad. Otis is fun. How is that not... The big payoff was a shove, and then I'm going to go play with the Wyatts for a few months. I hope they come back to it. It's an unfinished story. Very underwhelming. The story build was great. The shove was kind of the catalyst for the eventual match, and the match never happened. All right. I'll move on to things that actually happened. We got a Pure Fusion Collective promo video air, with Sonya Deville speaking about how other teams put on spicy outfits and do stupid dances. Shayna Baszler said they fight for dominance, and Zoe Stark said they are the foundation and future of the women's division. Deville closed by saying, if you want to step up, shoot your shot. Well, here's the problem, Sonya. You guys lose on a weekly basis. So no one's stepping up to you guys. You guys are at the bottom of the totem pole. No, we're all looking down. The rest of the women's division is looking down. You're the one that has to shoot your shot up. All right? Pure Fusion Collective is a fun, fancy name of saying the rest of the women on the roster that we don't have anything for right now, and we'll give them a cool name to make it sound like there's something for them to do. Sorry. It's the way I call it. It's exactly what these women are. I enjoy Sonya. I feel like she has been underutilized. Zoe Stark has been, for lack of a better term, boring. Yes, she got a robe with Trish Stratus, but that's kind of it. So Shayna Baszler at one time was a killer, and I don't have any faith that they're ever going to really bring that back. She's kind of been defined down at this point to a level that I don't know if she can recover from. All right. That might do it here, because then the main event here with the Intercontinental Championship. So, yeah. And when I said that Jey Uso beat Bron Breakker in 9 minutes, I'm mistaken. It was 20 minutes. So, my bad. Those of you that are saying, what are you talking about 9 minutes? 20. Sorry. 20 minutes with Jey Uso beating Bron Breakker. Actually, specifically, 20 minutes and 20 seconds. So, hell of a main event. Hell of a show. I think overall was very well done. Without some criticisms, of course. Big surprise ending. And really, next week is the final build to Bad Blood. So, thank you guys so much for listening. I know that this has been therapeutic for me, talking about wrestling. Hope you guys enjoy it. Enjoy your day at work or whatever you do. And a lot of you listen to me at work. So, that's kind of cool. And we'll be back tomorrow, or today, as it probably is for you, with the NXT review and a lot more coming up this week as we get closer to Bad Blood. So go ad free if you want. You heard all those ads throughout the show. You can get rid of them. Patreon.com/WWE podcast, or on Apple or Spotify. There's a subscribe button right there. Thanks so much, everybody. I'll talk to you next time.
Thanks for listening to the WWE podcast. Don't forget to subscribe on your favorite podcast app so you don't miss a show, or head to WWEpodcast.com. And for all of these shows ad-free, head over to patreon.com/WWE podcast. Until then, we'll see you next time.